Here at LTC we have 3 channels. That's 2 more than Disney. So why go there when you can come here? Let's take a look inside. Our channels have the best numbers. Channel 8 features local programming. Channel 95 is our global station which airs content in Khmer, Spanish, and Portuguese. Channel 99 is our municipal station which airs government meetings and other municipal content.
Wowee!
Welcome to LTC News. I'm your news anchor, Alana Flood. It's sometimes easy to forget that political policy made on a national and international level does trickle down to the local municipal level. Since President Trump announced back in May that the U.S. would withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord, over 340 mayors from cities around the country have vowed that their cities would continue to adhere to the international agreement. This group of mayors represents 65 million Americans in 44 states. Lowell's Sustainability Council, chaired by Jay Mason, is asking that the city of Lowell follow suit.
Well, all politics is about local, and it starts in our backyard. Essentially, what we are doing is advising the city on issues and actions about things that will make Lowell a more sustainable place. Looking at the issues of climate and responding in a way that makes sense. So if our federal government isn't supporting the Paris Agreement, we want to make it clear that right here in Lowell, we think it's important. We think the environment is something that's worth fighting for, and we're going to support this and try to move this forward right here in our backyard.
On July 28th, the Sustainability Council sent a letter to Mayor Edward Kennedy, urging him to align with the other city leaders across the country who have signed the mayor's agreement.
I think the mayor's pledge is good. I think that it's too bad that the federal government has stepped away from its commitment to, to climate change, and so I think it's to have mayors and communities step up towards that. I think is a good thing, and I'm happy to join in that effort.
At this week's City Council meeting, the mayor presented the letter and the council voiced its approval.
Cross-country skiing is great because it's exercising all kinds of different muscle groups in your body. It's also a great way to exercise in the winter when it's hard to do it in any other way. A lot of other games shut down with snow on the ground, but this one is a reason to go out.
I just love being outside, and it's really nice just having something really close in the greater Boston area to ski in, and these trails are really beautiful, and it's nice to come here in different seasons and see how it's different.
We have all of our nice little caramels.
To keep up with the demand for sweets, Lydia needed her own retail space. She found the Sweet Spot on Merrimack Street in downtown Lowell, just moments away from her home.
The big thing was wanting to stay kind of close to home, knowing that I knew this community, and any commute time would be taken out of like sleep and time with family instead of work time, and it's worked out really, really well. This is our finished marshmallow product. So we'll spread this in a sheet pan, and then it sets for about 24 hours before we cut it. So this is almost closer to fluff texture-wise, but this will set and firm up a little bit into our soft, pillowy marshmallow.
We're the guardians of the entire Merrimack River. It's 125 miles long, and it faces a lot of environmental challenges, even in this day and age. And we're advocates who try to make sure the river gets cleaner and becomes more inviting to the public, including some of the fishers we're seeing today. One thing that fishers should know is that a very large part of the Merrimack, as well as other waters around it, are contaminated with mercury, essentially the heavy metal neurotoxin mercury.
Refresh our memory and the minds of our viewers. How did you vote on the superintendent's contract? And tell us why you voted that way, and then we'll just go down the line.
Sure.
And whether he's deserving of a contract.
I had voted against the contract. It was a fairly long and dare I say torturous process to get to a contract. The key
Those are
thing
strong
for
words,
me,
torturous.
well, it took a long time.
រូបភាពមួយយើងហៅភាសាអង់គ្លេសថា at large Lowell គឺជាទីក្រុង at large series បានន័យថា series counselor ឬក៏ក្រុមប្រឹក្សាទីក្រុងមួយរូបណាមួយដែលជាប់ឆ្នោតគឺតំណាងឲ្យប្រជាជនទាំងអស់ទាំងចំនួន110,000 នាក់ឬក៏ 11,000 នាក់ហ្នឹងមិនមែនតំណាងឲ្យតំបន់ណាមួយទេឥឡូវនេះមានការផ្ដល់ជាលក្ខណៈសកលមួយឬក៏យើងហៅថាជាលក្ខណៈ
I just want to touch on Francine's mention of diversity because that's important to us as well. So we have volunteers that speak other languages, which is so comforting to families and patients at that point.
Absolutely.
They understand
right.
kind of where they're coming from.
And that's hard to find sometimes.
Yes,
and you have a client that's maybe only Spanish speaking.
Did you guys hear that? Yeah.
So I've introduced legislation that requires that there be a vote by the United States Congress. Under the United States Constitution, only the Congress can declare war against another country. We have abdicated this responsibility for too long. And it's one thing not to have declared it in war after war, but we cannot abdicate it when it comes to starting a nuclear war.
These things that I'm saying now about where we think we ought to go and what's important relative to online sports comes from the full commission.
Let me switch gears just quickly and move on to this emerging world of esports, a related but unique form of online gaming and video game players. You know, for those.
ពីព្រោះរឿងអីបានខ្ញុំចង់ទុកនៅបាទខ្ញុំគ្រប់គ្រងនៅ downtown ទៅ Collie ក៏ទៅចោះខ្ញុំអត់មានថាអីទេក៏ប៉ុន្តែខ្ញុំយល់ថានៅ downtown ល្អជាងល្អរឿងអី
Is there an attempt by the government to portray the self-determination struggle as a terrorist activity, or your organization as a terrorist organization?
Oh, sure. I mean, we just said now as we're coming here, the Minister of Communication, who has lied from the beginning of this story till tomorrow. Number one, they said there was no crisis, there was no Anglophone problem. And then by the time they accept that there's an Anglophone problem, all the leaders, even the leaders who were released, they were at some point considered as terrorists. So you arrest somebody on terrorism charges, you put them in a military court, and then 6 months later, having been bringing them every month to court and postponing the case, 6 months later, a Chief Justice of the Supreme Court comes and says, well, the government of this country is not even aware of this case. That's how symbolic they tell us we don't belong there, or we don't count for anything.
Your camera ទាំងនោះទៅបង្កើតកម្មវិធីឯកសារឬយកព័ត៌មានព្រឹត្តិការណ៍ក្នុងសហគមន៍បន្ទាប់ពីអ្នកបានសិក្សាថ្នាក់ Studio អ្នកអាចប្រើប្រាស់ Studio A សម្រាប់បង្កើតកម្មវិធីតន្ត្រីផលិតរឿងនិងកម្មវិធីជជែកដេញដោលអ្នកអាចប្រើប្រាស់ Studio B សម្រាប់កម្មវិធីពិភាក្សាខ្នាតតូចអ្នកអាចរៀនកែរូបភាព graphic តាមកម្មវិធី Final Cut Pro X និង Adobe Premiere នៅក្នុង computer Apple
folding chair and the lights have all gone out. Here comes the doctor to the respirator that doesn't have no illness has come over the passengers. They started to do the pain. Oxygen pills and respirators and the prayers before it's too late.
I know that you consider yourself rock mod, which is kind of like a rock mod, kind of like a nod
modernism.
I don't know. I guess kind of like a nod to like Elvis and
Elvis Costello.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we could actually play an Elvis Costello song later.
Let's get into it.
Kind of like that. Kind of like, you know, the inspiration. This band kind of originally formed with just me and the drummer from the Pilfers.
We're going to celebrate the leak. And there's our friend Bob. And here we are, Lowell gas leak number 97, 264 Varnum Ave, called National Grid.
អស់លោកអ្នកជ្រាបទេគឺក្មេងៗអាចធ្លាក់ខ្លួនឈឺដោយសាររោគគ្រុនផ្ដាសាយធំនេះច្រើនជាងមនុស្សធំយើងទៅទៀតកូនឬក៏ចៅរបស់លោកច្រើនឆ្លងមេរោគ
¿Algún ejemplo de esas reglas diferentes de lo que es emigrar de Latinoamérica a Estados Unidos en cuestión financiero, Nicolás, por favor?
Sí, algunas cosas, por ejemplo, aquí muchas cosas que es importante es aseguranza de vida.
He was just not prepared to be a public person. That was the thing of it. He just wanted to come and hang out with Neil and Carolyn and play with you kids, yeah. And he didn't really need all that, and so that kind of overwhelmed him to the point that he went even deeper and deeper into his drinking, and that kind of started the tailspin that very tragically eventually took his life.
Trong បញ្ចប់នេះលោកតាជាភូមិន្ទនេតិសិក្សាសមាធិកម្មដ្ឋានសូមអរកាយគ្រប់លា
Somebody make some noise for Larry Duncan! One! Corner! Hey, 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 hey! Hey, hey, hey!
Woo! Give them a big round of applause. That was fantastic. Oh, listen to those trumpets. Get it. Woo!
Let's not forget the band joined by the Riverhawks' beloved mascot, Rowdy the Riverhawk.
Give it up for Rowdy.
Catch him all around town, but don't miss him at the Songa Center for UMass Lowell hockey or men's and women's basketball.
For Folk Festival, it's a time when people can set apart their differences
and all come together under the fact and the belief that Lowell is a place for everybody. And that's really, for me, been the most incredible part of all of this.
Oh, absolutely. I can't disagree with you whatsoever on that.
Lowell has a tremendous reputation for boxing.
I wanted to point out at one of the Golden Gloves in 1973 in Lowell featured Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, Aaron Pryor, and Leon and Michael Spinks. For any of you boxing fans, you probably know those names, world champions. So they were all at the same Golden Gloves in Lowell in 1973, and I think that they said that that's probably one of the, probably the best boxing talent that's ever been in Lowell at a single time in one place.
Lowell is known historically as a mill city. What impact did that have on slavery, and how did mill workers feel about slavery?
Great question. Great way to start. So it's fascinating for me to think about the history because Lowell basically is cotton mills. And you can't help but ride around today in Lowell and see the vestiges of that history. Certainly even the building that we're in where we're doing the show this morning is one such place. And all the mills in the city basically consumed slave-produced cotton from the South, tons and tons of slave-produced cotton every year poured into the city of Lowell. And that's what made the mills work, and the mills are what made Lowell. So you could make the case that no slavery, no Lowell, in the sense that it was cheaply produced cotton produced by enslaved people.
City Manager Kevin Murphy provided the council with an update on the Rourke Bridge. Most of you probably know that the Rourke Bridge is a temporary bridge that has been in use for over 30 years. Now, if your dentist were to install a temporary bridge that he left in and refused to replace for 30 years, you'd sue him for malpractice. But since this is a state government project, they can take their time and 6% of every Black Friday purchase you made while we sit and wait in terrible traffic. Councilor Berlanger said he believes the Rourke Bridge poses a public safety threat because it makes it difficult for emergency vehicles to get through the traffic. He also called on surrounding communities to get involved to lobby for a new bridge, as it is a regional bridge with regional impact. City Manager Murphy informed the council that the Rourke Bridge didn't make it on the Mass DOT's list of priorities. This is partly because while the Rourke Bridge has been declared functionally obsolete, it is still structurally safe. Councilor Elliott worried that the new market basket may increase traffic on the bridge and surrounding areas.
The technology, the creativity.
Lowell Telecommunications Corporation.